Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the presentation. My name is Victoria, and I am a marketing associate here with Exscribe. I'm excited to welcome you to our demonstration today. All attendees are in listen-only mode right now. So if you take a look at your control panel, there should be a small hand icon there. If you click on that hand icon, you'll raise your hand and I'll know that you can hear me okay, and you can hear the other presenters okay. So if you wouldn't mind just clicking that hand icon really quick. Okay, great. Looks like everybody can hear me. If you have any questions at all during the presentation, you're just going to want to type those into the questions tab that's also found there. And our guest, Mike, will be moderating the questions as we go. And our last housekeeping item is that today's webinar is going to be recorded, and you will be notified by email when that's available. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Mike McWilliams, who is Chief Revenue Officer for Reliable IT. Mike assists companies with everything that could possibly impact their IT infrastructure from Y2K to COVID-19. He's built many cloud and on-site solutions from the ground up in his over 25 years of experience in the tech industry. And I'd also like to welcome Chris Peterson, Vice President of Principal Consulting and Chief Information Officer for Reliable IT. He spends his days assisting executives with navigating the complexities of IT and cybersecurity. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, today Chris will hack into a system to show us exactly what we need to do to protect ourselves. I'm really excited to see it. And now I'll turn it over to Mike. Take it away.
Victoria, thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are at. Appreciate the time. I'm going to kind of give a short, and we're going to go through a very quick 120-page slide deck for you guys to look at. Just joking, it should probably be more like, if it's more than 10 minutes, I get mad at Chris. So it'll be a short little presentation, just kind of give you the background of what happens on this. But the bottom line is what Chris is going to show you. We're going to have, like I said, a short presentation on the in PowerPoint, and then we're going to get right into the demo and show you how hackers hack. But the basics of this is what you're going to see is Chris has a system at his house where it has two computers sitting there, and one is going to be simulating the attacker, and one is going to be simulating the attackee and the everyday person, the person that sits in our office, whether that be the MA, the physician, the PA, back office, wherever it may be, simulating that. And so what you're going to see is Chris is going to kind of go between two different systems. Sometimes it's a little hard to see, and happy to you'll have my contact here at the end to be able to ask questions if you need to. But we kind of specialize in security and managed services for orthopedic specific. So we've done a lot of security risk assessments for groups, and so we have seen how all the hackers hack. And so our very own Chris Peterson, he's done a fantastic job for us. And Chris, take it away, and I'll kind of just chime in as needed. As Victoria stated, you have the questions. We love for this to be interactive, up to you. But if you send me a question, I'll probably acknowledge it, say that I got it. And then when there's a break and when Chris breathes, sometimes he doesn't breathe when he talks. There's a small chance of that, but I usually interrupt fairly well for the people that know me out there. I'll interrupt Chris very easily. But anyway, long story short, Chris, take it away and show us how hackers hack.
Thanks, Mike. All right, let's get started. So first type things, the different types of hackers that are out there. So the first one is you have young kids that are just having fun. They're going out, they're trying to see what they can get into. Typically those are known as script kiddies, which basically means exactly in the name. They can go out and they can download those scripts that other people have already created for them. Do they work? Sometimes. Do they work sometimes? Yes, sometimes not. It just depends. They just like messing around with websites, trying to see if they can bring them down or they can slow them down. That's basically what they're looking at, and even networks as well. The recreational hacker, this person is a little bit more savvy than others. He or she may have a valid reason why they want to get into something, or they may want to just knock the system down for some reason or get some information. Then you have the professionals who their sole purpose in life is to get information. if that's medical records, social security information, things like that. So they can get out and then they take that information and they turn around and sell it. It's not necessarily that they're storing it away, but they're out there selling it. All right. What do they want? They want to ransom your data off. They want to, we've all heard of the crypto locker. They want to see what they can get out of you. They want to see if they can get some Bitcoins. They want to see if you'll pay. They want to get the healthcare information, any identifiable information as well too. They want to steal any maybe secrets that you have out there. Obtain passwords. Same with passwords as well, along with social security information. They can put that out, post it, and sell it. Doesn't matter if those passwords are good or not, but if you're selling thousands of passwords and one works, you win. So credit card info, and then also too, what they'll want to do is create as much traffic to a website as possible. I know here in Houston, I believe it was the Humboldt School District who had a denial of service attack done right when school started. That's exactly what happened. They just pounded away until the site couldn't come up and the students couldn't connect up. Okay. Some of the terms, so that way when you go back and you have your IT team, starts talking about things and you're sitting there in a meeting going, what are they talking about? Stealing passwords, that's pretty self-explanatory. A backdoor is where they may get an account password, such as a service account, and they're able to get back in. But for overflow, that just basically means that you set the system up so that way it's constantly working and working and working where all of the resources are taken up. We see this a lot on database servers. That happens a lot. Denial of service, which we talked about. Root access. Root access is basically the highest level of permissions. So you may hear domain administrator or enterprise admin or even root. That is the highest level of access that you can get onto a system. Trojan horse, that's been around for a while, where basically it looks like one thing, but behind the scenes it's installing little pieces of malware. So that happens a lot. All right. Hacking timeline. So with the timeline, as you can see, the compromise and exfiltration happens really quickly. By the time you've discovered it, they've already gotten in, got what they needed, and they're gone. A lot of times what will happen is, especially with crypto locker, if you don't have good backups, you don't have a good plan, a good DR plan, and an acceptable risk in regards to loss, you may be shelling out the money, but we don't always recommend doing that. There can be some special cases where we do, but generally we don't recommend doing that. So hackers, this is your hacker that you see sitting in the basement or sitting someplace. They are invincible behind that keyboard because there's no one there to stop them. If they can get in, great. If they can't, that's fine. They're going to keep moving on through system over system. All right. Next here you have the same thing. Kevin here, he's just gathering as much data as he can, trying to get into whatever he can, and he's just going around and pulling information. So what we'll do here next is we'll get right into the demo. And what way that I normally do this, go ahead.
Chris, let me, and again, just to set this up as well. No, next slide is fine, Chris. Again, there's been a lot in the news, especially in Becker's, what you see recently. Unfortunately, a group in Florida was hit with ransomware, and now there's a $99 million class action lawsuit. We know those guys, they're good people. And I know I'm personally frustrated with the, certainly one with the class action lawsuit, but more importantly that, that they got hit, because they do a lot of things right down there. So what we're showing you is certainly, hackers get in all different ways. They can send an email, they can infiltrate, there's known vulnerabilities. There's a lot of different things out there in the marketplace that allows you to have basically a doorway into your infrastructure and so forth. This is just one way, where what happens is that we're going to come in from an HR perspective and send somebody a resume. And it's our resume, and you're going to see how real life it is. And certainly when there is 0-day attacks, what 0 days simply means that there is no virus protection for it. It just doesn't exist. No one's ever seen it before. So it's a brand new threat vector, and it comes in and it can get you right off the bat. And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself on those things. So there is some malware, there is some types of things. We'll go over the recommendations at the end so you can protect yourself. We call it the layers, the 5 layers of defense, which end up really being more like 20 layers of defense, but we'll explain that, what that means in a minute. But again, just to set it up, Chris, go ahead.
Sure, no problem. So essentially what we're going to be doing here is, just like Mike said, we're not necessarily going to hack into the firewall. I'm actually going to hack someone's job or hack their position. So basically what I'm going to do here, I went to a site, I pulled this off. This is an actual location. I've kind of blanked it out to protect the innocent. But what I'm looking here for is careers. So I'm going to go into the careers area. And while I'm in here, I'm just going to pick a random job here, graphic designer, and I'm looking here too for this apply for job online. And a lot of companies have this. Some of them will allow you to put files, and some of them will have you to type. What I'm looking for is the one that'll allow me to upload files into the system. So that allows me to bypass the firewall, regardless of what, just like Mike said, regardless of what AV you have, I'm already past your firewall. I'm already past your AV. So let's see here. So yes, in this one here, right here, my computer, that's what I'm looking for. So that's going to allow me to upload a file into the system. So with that being said, let me switch over.
This is where we're going to be flipping from the presentation right into the live demo. Chris, 13 minutes, not bad. I'll blame 2 minutes on Victoria, 1 on me, and so you did a great job.
Thanks. All right.
So certainly explain the 2 differences, Chris, when you get there, is what you're seeing here and then what you're seeing on the other system and what you're.
Absolutely. So this first system we have here is just a standard ISO image that I downloaded actually before, a couple days before our presentation here, right off the internet. It already has all the tools that I need to hack into the system. I didn't have to buy anything or anything like that. On the other side, we have just a normal Windows 10 machine. And this is Pinky's machine here. He likes himself, so he always puts it on there. There's nothing fancy about it. Nice fresh load, and just a vanilla system.
And for those people out there, certainly Chris is a lover of these types of lizards, which still is a little bit weird. Those are not marijuana plants in the back there. Those are certainly cages for his animals. I think you have 26 different reptiles. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
Just want to set it straight. I know that some people know that we're from Colorado, but out of Texas, which is a little different. So go ahead, Chris.
Okay, no problem. So and then what I have here over here is the commands. I'm not going to run scripts. I'm just going to type it right out so you see it. So there's no funny business or anything like that going on with it. So first thing, what we need to do, we're going to bring the console up. There it goes.
I always hold my breath during this period of time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
Again, this is on the hacker's machine, and this is just simply cutting and pasting and getting the hacker ready to go, and it is ready to start listening and seeing if somebody clicks on our file. So go from there.
All right, so now it's ready. It's sitting there waiting for someone to call out. So now we'll go back over to Pinky's box. And just like I said earlier, we actually, I would have uploaded a file through the HR process into the system. Well, Pinky's job, he's in HR. He has no choice. He has to open the file, because if he doesn't, he's not doing his job. So he gets the file, opens it up. All right, and here it is, trustworthy technician, so on and so forth. I really want to work there. Here's the file. All right, we're going to open it up. Here's the resume. So the resume comes up, and all right, well, there must be something wrong with this document. And in here, it's actually telling me to turn on editing. All right, I've turned on editing, and now edit content. So essentially what's happening is that the document looks real. It looks like a Windows document, and it's telling me how to turn all the safety locks and all the security off on inside Word. You may think no one's going to do that. Yes, someone will do that. They'll think I've got to open it, so they'll just click on it. So we'll enable the content, and now this box pops up. Incorrect Word version. Cannot unprotect this document. And there will be someone out in the wild, as we say, that may have just gone through a Windows upgrade. Maybe they had an old argument like this, 2013, and they went to 16 or 19 or 365, something along those lines. And they may go, hey, well, I guess something's wrong with my machine. I'll put in a ticket with IT, but I'm going to take this file and now give it to Mike and say, hey, Mike, can you open this? And now I'm starting to get more people infected, and you can see how it propagates throughout. All right, so I'm just going to click OK here. It goes right back to the system. Come back over to the hacker machine, and as you can see, now the system has responded. So now I'm connected to him. So we'll just double check here. Sure enough, there he is. Let's go ahead and interact with him. There we go. So now I'm interacting with him. Now I can inject whatever hack that I want to, and that's what we're going to do here. And now I have control over his machine. So let's show you some of this now. I'll flip back over to his Windows 10 box. As you can see, nothing's popped up on the screen or anything like that. So let's do our first one here. Let's take a screenshot of what he has going on. All right. And there's his screen. So there's no shenanigans going on, and you think, oh well, Chris, you've got this set up. That's just a stock image. So we'll go right into his files, and we'll just pick Daisy here, and we'll go right back over, and I'll take another screenshot. And as you can see, now the screen has changed. All right, so anything he's got on his screen at that time when I put in that command, it's going to take the picture, no problem. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see what other fun stuff that we can do. So now let's pull up his directory. Let's see what's in his system. So there's all of his files. If this machine was connected to a network, I could pull up his map drives if I wanted to. I could pull them up, and I can also pull files back and forth, and I'm going to show you that right now. All right. So pull the file down there. Come back over here. And there's his friends. So I just pulled the file right off of his system without them even knowing about it. So if you had documents, let's say stored in your My Documents area, somewhere like that, I could easily just reach right in and pull them right out, and you wouldn't even know that I did it. So the next thing here is what we're going to do is now we're going to turn around and I'm going to send a file back up to a system. So we're going to do the reverse. So now I'm going to pump a file back, and I'm just going to call it employee list. So now I've uploaded a file back to his system, and close out of this, come over to here, and there it is. All right, so we'll come back to that file. All right, yep. There we go. All right, the next thing that I can do is pretty simple, is now I can also, since I have total control over his system, now I can start doing keystroke loggers, which everyone has probably heard about that. So it's on my side. I'm watching, and let's.
And as Chris is going through this, just real quick, Chris, just type some stuff, and you guys can watch the screen and listen. A very well-known group in the South, what happened is that their medical records department, which was outsourced, was infiltrated using tools like this, and a keylogger was installed, and on a third-party machine, it was able to see that it went to this VPN, or excuse me, this website, and was able to log in, saw the username and password, but then was able to take that information offline and just go directly to the website and log in. They had all the information. There was no two-factor authentication involved. They were then able to download in this one EMR solution, not Exscribe, which was another one competitor to theirs. There was a button in there that said download EMR data, and they downloaded their entire EMR database. And a few weeks after that, the CEO was notified that, hey, this person tried to ransom the CEO, and he says, yeah, whatever, I don't believe you. He then turned around and sent him, I don't know how many records. I want to say it was 20, but it may have been less than that, but it doesn't really matter. Bottom line is he showed him that he had proof of data, and then he was going to sell it onto the dark web if he didn't pay the ransom. This team did not, didn't do it, certainly, and but unfortunately, the person had their entire database. So that is how keyloggers, and what we've seen is now we're seeing hackers come in and act as patients. And if you don't have your USB key locked on in your patient exam rooms, that is how they're getting in. So they load a keylogger right there, and they're able to get all the information off of that, and it kind of sends that information home. And so Chris is you know, was typing some stuff, and now he's going to do a dump of that information. Correct, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and you can see right there the information that, and it's a little bit hard to see. Hopefully, everybody can see it. You know, there it is.
And as you can also notice too, Mike, it also picks up my misspellings too. So anything that I type is in there as well. So you can see where I typed in the wrong, and you can see where I corrected it as well.
Perfect. One of the things to keep in mind also that I like to share with people is some people are like, oh, well, hey, this doesn't ever really happen to us. I will say that we typically do anywhere from 30 to 40 security risk assessments a year, specifically on ortho groups, and about 75% of them we break into them via this model. So it does happen, and it's happening all the time, and you'll be surprised on the things that you need to make sure you have in place in order to protect yourself. So the next one you're going to do is run the, are you going to do the webcam, or are you going to do the employee list first?
Correct. So employee list. So as we did earlier, we uploaded this employee list. So part of you may say, well, you know what? The file doesn't look right, but most users will click on it just because the name looks correct. So now
salaries is one that always comes up as well. Salaries, and like how many times you click on that one?
Yep. So now they clicked on it, and now their whole system has been encrypted. So I've gotten a hold of them, and now they would be calling me for Bitcoins or whatever else they would need. All right. And then our final. All right. The final one is I can also grab a hold of the webcam. So laptops have webcams all the time. So let's see if Pinky is working today. All right. Grabbed a hold of it. And sure enough, he's working today as he runs off. But he is working today.
I was going to say, put your hand back there, make sure they know that it's kind of real, and that you're not. There we go.
Yeah.
This one gets me. This is very creepy to me.
Well,
yeah.
Last time we got on the test one yesterday, Victoria, we've been watching what you're doing the last 24 hours. So just
of course. Oh man, that's
see,
crazy.
It's live. I mean, you can see him breathe him. I'm not. This is not a video.
Man.
I'm trying to move my hand. That's why you see a lot of companies will say, you know, you put the Post-it note over the camera, or you see the little slide thing that you can get, and even some manufacturers are now putting it in there. So,
I mean, I can't even imagine seeing a patient in an exam room and this word. Oh God, it's everybody's worst nightmare.
think about if you had a system set up in a patient's room with the TV and the webcam sitting there, and an exam's
Yeah.
going on, whatever, and someone grabs a hold of it.
Oh.
Yep. And once they infiltrate, I mean, the biggest thing is once they infiltrate, adding this information and putting this on there is extremely easy. And so, Chris, we did get a question from the group. Is there a way to detect this after the fact so I can check my machines?
You can. Basically, what you would need to do is watch to see where your machines are what are they talking to. So you can find that on your firewall, watching the machines going outbound. So if you see an 80, 443, generally that should be okay. But if you see a machine connecting outbound to a strange port, that can be an issue. And if you can get with your networking team, they can pull those reports for you. They can also pull reports to say, why is this machine always connecting to this one particular website? And you know, it may be overseas or something along those lines. So those are some of the things that you can do to protect yourself.
And I would say that the biggest thing, which we'll get into, now that we kind of, I don't know whether scared you or didn't scare you. I want to scare you a little bit. I mean, the bottom line is people always say this can't happen to me. It's like, boy, if you have that thought process, it's just going to be by pure luck. If you have all of the things that we recommend, then yeah, your chances of getting it are very, very thin. Reliable is an interesting company. We have two verticals. One is healthcare and orthopedic specific, and the other one is banking. And our banking clients, Chris, when's the last time one of them got hacked into?
I can't remember the last time that one of our customers.
You don't hear it. Why is that? And the biggest reason is that they're audited by the state and feds typically twice a year. And so what we see is that they are mandated. We have had, and this is like, for you guys out there, you probably, if I asked you, hey, can I see your patch, your patching report for your servers and workstations, and I guarantee in orthopedics, you're like, what's that? We've had to sit on meetings for 2 hours in the banking world explaining why one system didn't get patched last month and how bad it is. So the bottom line is banks have been doing this for years. You don't hear about banks getting hacked. Why is it? Because they have the tools in place, and most importantly, they're validated, and ultimately they can be shut down. I have a personal opinion. This is not a conspiracy theorist, but it's a little bit. I think at some point, I think we're between 3 and 5 years away from healthcare being that way. I hope not. I mean, I hope not. And I hope so, because there are certainly, as we work with groups, we're seeing them. It seems like the security posture is just getting better and better. It was very hard, but the last couple of years, we seem like it's getting a lot better. And so we're very happy about that, but there's still a long ways to go. And at the end of the day, you'd be very surprised if you just do IT right and you do the basics right, you're going to cover yourself very well on that side. So had another I guess from same person, Tony was, he certainly was saying that he had PTSD from ransomware a few years back. So certainly understand a lot of groups have that on that side. Guys, we're getting very, very close to the end. Chris, was that, did you have, you had a couple more slides, of course.
Yeah, just a couple things. One other thing is that, how hard is it to learn how to do this? Pretty simple. If I can type. There's a help command. You can type right in and you can go to it if you need to. You can type in help. It'll pull you all the information. The other thing that you can do is, let me close this down. Bear with me. And the other one is you can go to Google. punch it right in. These are just some things, these are just some pieces, and you can learn how to do a denial of service attack with a video, step by step, exactly how to do it. Here's one right here, how to denial of service DDoS attack someone, how it works, the whole thing. They're all out there for you to download with instructions. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. All right, Mike.
Yeah, perfect. So the next question that most people ask us at this point is like, great, thanks for all that, scared the crap out of me. Now, what do I need to do to protect myself? And this is where we say you got to do the 5 layers of defense. And as I said, it's a little bit more than that. But let's talk about the first layer. First layer, these are automatic. You got to have it. Spam filtering with AV, perfect. Antivirus, great. Are you doing security awareness training? Most people in most groups are not. You need to do security awareness training. You need to train your employees. They need to take tests. There is very inexpensive, I mean, like a couple $100 a month, guys, types of things, which does dark web scans. You're going to find that most of your physicians will use the same password over and over and over again. And so they are typically your biggest culprit of issues out there. And then the phishing scams come on a consistent basis. Interestingly enough, my son has Spotify. He came in to me and said, hey, Dad, you know, I'm going to renew it again. And I'm like, you know, whatever. Okay, sounds good. And interestingly enough, a Spotify phishing campaign came. And I was about to click on it because I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, this is what he did. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I need to think about that for a second. Anyway, I mean, I was literally that close from doing it. And it had been it was certainly a testing phishing campaign from our security awareness training program. So it's just there to help you. You got to be constantly reminded of this stuff. You know, doing work in today's environment, you got COVID, you got kids, you got, you know, hey, are you going to school? You're not going to school. There's 20 million things on your mind. Worrying about security is not something you should worry about. The system should help you out. Having 2-factor authentication, it's just a must. You got to have it. Because think back to that one where the keylogger. There is recommendations now of never changing your password. Why? Because, yeah, and it sounds weird. Thank you, Victoria, for those movements of eyes. But there is people out there, security experts, white hat hackers that are saying, hey, you shouldn't change your password. And that seems like, well, wait a minute, we're supposed to change them every 90 days, 60 days, you know, 6 months, whatever it is, yearly. And it's like, well, no, what that happens is you certainly start to write them down and put them on the bottom of your keyboard. You know, you do whatever you got to do to make sure you can remember them, because you can't remember them, or it makes it too hard, or IT makes it too difficult. You got to have 15 different special characters. I know I get frustrated. Well, we don't have that anymore. We don't change passwords anymore. That's kind of the new recommendation. We go with passphrases and we go with 2-factor authentication, something you know and something you have. So right now, you know, you put in your username and password, then it sits there and it says, put in your code, and it goes to your cell phone. So if it's not you, guess what? You can have password as your password forever on all things if you had 2-factor authentication. Everything is getting up and going. You know, and having an on-site backup. So that's layer 1. Layer 2 is having more of a ransomware proof backup solution, and there are out there. So remember, ransomware encrypts, and what we've seen in bad situations is that it not only encrypts all your data, but it encrypts your backup. When that happens, you have no data. You have to then send the Bitcoin, and no longer is it $1,000 or 500. It's in the area. The last ransomware we paid, because we had to, for a client, been with us for, gosh, I'd say 20 years, is not a managed services client, and they call us about every 3 to 5 years to say, hey, build us a new system, and we do. We say, do you be managed services? And they say no, and we say okay. Bottom line is everything was encrypted. We paid $50,000 to get their data back. We got lucky. We got it back. About 50% of the time you pay the ransom and you actually get it back. Antivirus, you need an artificial intelligence tool, so you're taking one step above. So no longer do you need one antivirus tool, you need 2. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. You need 2, okay? Then you got to monitor all this stuff. So Chris had stated, and as the question from Tony came in, says, well, how do you detect this? Well, you got to monitor it. And you got to monitor all your systems, make sure they're patched and so forth. Again, that's the second layer of defense. As of right now, that is the minimum that we ask for all of our clients and really everything that you should be doing. The third layer of defense is really getting into security information event management system called SIEM or threat detector, and then using a managed firewall with an IDS and IPS web filtering on it. The fourth layer of defense, you got to test and assess. If you're doing your own security risk assessment, fine. You know, and again, a lot of people will say, well, don't pick us, pick somebody. I don't care. If you're doing it, you're not validating your own controls. You are not technical enough to do that. That's all there is to it. I'm barely technical enough. I need Chris, and this is what I do for a living. So please, please, please find a company out there that can do a pen test for you and a security risk assessment for you so that they can validate what you believe to be accurate. Are you getting backups? Are you? Do you really know that? I can't tell. We just had a client the other day that became a new client of ours, had been telling us to begin backups for years. We're like, okay. We went in there and we said, all right, hey, where's your backups? Didn't have any. There's none. Scared the living crap out of me. Anyway, it happens. It just, you know, I don't know why, but it does. And then the fifth layer of defense is when all the rest of those fail, you need to make sure you have a great business continuity and disaster recovery plan, because at some point, those will fail you. When you rely on technology, and even when you do layers 1 through 4, there's going to be a time, because that 0-day attack came out, and you need to be able to fail over to something, whether that be offsite to Azure, a disaster recovery site, using backup tools like Datto or Unitrends, Veeam as an example. All of those tools are fairly, and you'd be surprised that you can have a complete disaster recovery program, you know, for less than a couple grand a month. $24,000 a year, $12,000. Sometimes we've seen it as low as $4,000 on a monthly, or excuse me, yearly basis in order to, and it's, again, it's all how many servers, how many people, and all that stuff and on that site. But you can do it that are ransomware proof, so that when all this stuff is not going well, you can make sure and recover. That's the whole important piece. Scares me to death that, and what's the next new vulnerability? We just had one the other day that came out. It was with Citrix and Windows Defender. It just came out 2 days ago. And it was a brand new threat vector that nobody even knew about. So people that have Citrix and use Windows Defender, or Windows Defender, excuse me, you got a vulnerability. And they're trying to patch it and get going. But again, people could have been coming in for years and sucking data off your system and you didn't even know it. Okay, so that is, we do have another question that came in from Shanna. If we use a cloud for the EM, EHR, PM system, do we still need an on-site backup? The answer is, for the cloud, typically not. For your PM and EMR system, you don't need one, because they should take care of it. I know Exscribe does very well and has that in multiple locations and does a fantastic job. Others, I know some others that do as well, so depending on what you have. But for anything that you keep on site, you got to ask yourself, what do I keep on site? So and again, you said your PM and EHR is off site, so that should be taken care of for you, but you got to ask the questions. Don't assume it, make sure you ask the question. The secondary thing is where's your Word and Excel files? Where's your accounting system? Where are those located at? Are they on site or in the cloud? And whether they're in the cloud, you still need to ask yourself the question, did you guys know that Office 365 is not backed up by Microsoft? Who knew that? Yeah, I'd love to see hands on that one.
Just you two.
Yeah, just who knew that Office 365 or Microsoft 365 is not technically backed up by Microsoft? That means, now, this gets a little complicated, but the short answer is that they do replicate the data to multiple data centers. But if one data center got corrupted and it replicated replicated that corruption, guess what? It's not there. And so you have to have a secondary system, that on-site backup or backup in the cloud or ransomware proof, blah, 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 whatever it is, you need to make sure and have that there as well. So most people don't even know that. that Microsoft didn't even back up their own system, which still just boggles my mind, but I don't get it. I don't know why they don't do it, but they don't. So Microsoft is wonderful about taking care of the middle, letting you handle the low end and the top end, and good luck. Hope it works, type of scenario. So any more questions, guys? We are getting, I know we like to be done with these within 30 to 40 minutes. Try to keep everybody's attention span, and we know you're very busy trying to run your practice and get back from COVID, and hopefully you guys are back at closer to 100% of capacity, and you know, we wish you all the best of luck. We'll turn that, I don't see any more questions. Victoria, we'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, thank you so much, you guys. This was extremely informative, and I think included some really practical steps that people can take. I mean, for one, I had no idea that you need double antivirus protection. I thought all antivirus protection took care of ransomware, which is the really scary one. So I think everybody learned a little bit here today. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And again, just so everybody who's listening knows, we will have this recording made available to you by email in the next couple of days. And if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot Mike an email. You can see it displayed here. And thanks for coming out. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great afternoon.
All right.
You too.